Now, I know we skipped a week, but welcome back to the PF podcast. Today, we're actually going to have to bring one of our special guests that we've been trying to get for quite a bit now, Hunter. So, dude, introduce yourself, please.
All right, yeah, my name is Hunter. I know we've tried lots of times to organize something, and we finally found a time we can meet up together. I just graduated from Penn State with my bachelor's in kinesiology, so that's kind of how I like to help out in the community. And I am an avid powerlifter with two collegiate nationals under my belt, so quite literally under my belt.
Yeah, that's actually one very key characteristics to have, especially as a guest appearing here on. I mean, I've wanted you for a while, but about the whole, we've been planning this for a while now. So, for this
Yeah.
question, the reason why we actually finally managed to get this is because one, I'm finished with my test, and two, Hunter, unfortunately, you're in quarantine, aren't you?
I am. I only have a few more days, and I feel completely fine. But protocol is protocol. I'm just lucky enough that I'm stuck in here most days with my fiance, so I'm not totally alone. And we have four cats that run around and give me something to do.
Oh, that's nice. If they do come along, please bring them up to the camera. If they so happen to call
Yeah.
along.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be around.
So anyway, actually, this is something I want to ask. Like, so before we get into the whole setting collegiate records and everything, as a powerlifter, like you've seen like somehow some of the people in the server get when they have to quarantine, they go like they get all gloomy and everything. Where man, I can't train anymore. Blah blah blah. What about you? Like as someone who is actually a powerlifter who competes and everything, how would you deal with this whole quarantine thing from training and like mental?
Well, it's definitely been challenging. I kind of talked about it with my coach and like other clients. We have like a little chat, and I mean I kind of did the math, and I'm not going to be in for about 3 weeks total with traveling. For those of you that don't know, I just moved back home after graduating, and then I got COVID, and then after this quarantine, I'm going to have to leave for a small trip. So it's definitely going to be a really, really big adjustment period coming back into the gym and making sure I don't have the expectations that I need to start on the numbers that I left on, because that's just not how it works.
Oh yeah, that's always it. You ready for the soreness that's gonna come along?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't really think about that too hard, but it's definitely going to be tough.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising how like after you've been training for so long, being sore is like a rarity to happen anymore. And then like you take a break when you get quarantined, and then you come back like, oh my god, this feels terrible.
Yeah, yeah. My coach only prescribes one set of RDLs a week because I'll be sore for about 5 days just from a singular working set. So I can't imagine what that one set's going to do to me when I come back.
Oh yeah. Actually, for the whole quarantine thing, did it flow well with your training? Like, did it happen to fall on a deload week or whatever for you?
We were actually so I started with my coach in I think September of last year of 2021, and we immediately jumped into a 9-week meet prep because he was doing a meet and one of his other clients were doing, so I figured I would do the same. I did not qualify for Collegiate Nationals at that meet, but decided that I want to, so I signed up for another meet, which was 10 weeks out. And then I did qualify, went to Nationals, as many people in the Discord know, and that was only another 9 weeks after that. So we've never done anything more than like a 4-week training cycle. Um, so up until my quarantine, we were doing a 5 and even a 6-week cycle. So it did actually kind of work out, but we got to make it work out, kind of. Because I went camping last weekend for the 4th of July, kind of a big thing here in America, which I didn't mention. Yeah, I'm from the United States. It's a good time these days. So yeah, we kind of got to line that up with the deload, but of course, these last like this week and next is going to be kind of like where I should have been in my weeks 1 and 2.
Ah, man. I mean, I guess that's a prolonged deload or like a short break. But hey, long term is never a
Yeah.
bad thing.
It's not always bad. I had kind of like a shoulder thing going on, so hopefully, maybe that'll be gone.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hopefully it'll be gone by then. So I mean, speaking of 4th of July, just like a brief mention, did you do any special lifts for 4th of July? Like I know some lifters love wearing the whole red, white, and blue for lifting and setting a PR for 4th of July or something.
Oh, the only lifting I do over 4th of July is alcohol. That's so I'm not a big drinker, and I really only dedicate myself to drinking about two main times a year. That's our New Year's and 4th of July. So they're pretty evenly spread out too. So yeah, it's kind of probably a good thing I wasn't listening. I would have wasted it all.
uh, okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's start from the very beginning. So, for those who didn't listen early on or missed it, yes, Hunter's name is actually Hunter. It's not a Discord tag. It's not a Discord name. His name is actually Hunter. So, and how old are you, Hunter?
I will be 24 in just under a month, so we go ahead and figure that out. Plan my presents.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just graduated. I was a fifth year, so it took me a little long. That's why I'm so old, but not quite as old as some of our previous guests. How old are you again? You're 23?
I'm turning 25 this year in December, actually.
Oh, you're turning 25.
Yeah.
I thought I was the old guy here.
Yeah, I actually thought you were in your 20s. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's going to be 24.
I think it might be because
much.
Yeah, I think it might be because we just have an abundance of young lifters. I just keep thinking everyone's much younger than they are.
Oh, it definitely keeps creeping up there. Especially and then yeah, like you said, with all the prodigies that are showing up in the Discord.
Oh yeah, the prodigies.
Young minds.
So actually, what got you into powerlifting? Because actually, for those of you who do not know, Hunter's actually pretty tall, aren't you? Like I think you're about exactly 183, was it?
Yeah, something like that. 183, 182 and a half. Depends who measures and how much I stand up that day. Yeah, and I only weigh about. I'm kind of on a bulk right now, so I'm up to about 78 kgs, which is almost 180 pounds or 175 pounds. I don't even remember anymore. I'm converted.
I mean, you're finally getting there.
But yeah, still about 40 pounds away from where I should be at my height. And that's kind of the reason I got into powerlifting, was just lifting weights in general because I was so much smaller. I was like 64 kilos in high school.
Damn.
At the same height.
Oh.
So I was like just scraping the bottom of the barrel for like a healthy BMI and stuff like that. And I got to college. I ran cross country and track and field. I got to college and I knew I wasn't going to do that anymore. So I'm like, well, I kind of look stupid being this small. So I'm just going to like go on YouTube and look up a couple of people and started going to the gym. Found out that deadlifts are really cool.
So, okay, so you said that you started out looking for things on YouTube, but I'm guessing because you started out college as a kinesiology that you managed to, I mean, due to the field that you're in, you managed to decipher through all the BS out there compared to the actual information on YouTube? Or do you also fall into some of it?
I didn't fall into a lot of it. I mean, like, I would say the second YouTube channel that I, like, got information from was Athlean X, which is usually everybody's first. But that didn't last too long. Once I found out that he was kind of just making everything up every day, I was like, yeah, this guy's not really for me. But yeah, having the kinesiology background, because the year that I started powerlifting was the same year that I switched to kinesiology. I actually started in aerospace engineering.
Oh, wow.
That did not last long. Yeah, I kind of started that journey and my academic journey at the same time, which was really, really helpful. I got to filter through a lot more objectively than most people do.
Oh, that's nice. Like coincidentally, but actually, that brief mention of Athlete X. Yeah, he wasn't actually my first. I think he was my third or fourth. But the irony with Athlete X is that it's not that his info is entirely bad, but he kind of contradicts himself in that he says don't major in the minors, but his entire channel is about majoring in the minors.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, I already feel like I know more than this guy, so unsubscribe. Which at the time definitely wasn't true, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first person that I looked up, and I still have a lot of respect for, was Igor, Vitruvian Physique.
Igor, yeah.
Yeah, he was really helpful to start out with.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs, but like, and I love how he keeps up his comedy as well throughout the years. Really, really great guy.
Yeah.
So, why powerlifting specifically? Like, you did say that you got into lifting because you were tired of like being this skinny and you want to like build a bit more muscle. But then, like, think about it, powerlifting is, especially with the weight class that you're competing in, is kind of contradictory to like you just want to be big and everything, like bodybuilding.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't dislike bodybuilding. I definitely have a lot of respect for it after seeing one of our own go through his own prep there. It was pretty amazing to see what he could do in such a short amount of time. In my opinion, a short amount of time. I don't know. I've been training for a pretty long time, and I kind of just look like a stick with some arms and legs still. But no, it was something about the objectivity, kind of you either did that weight or you didn't do that weight. I know it's, everybody agrees on a specific set of rules, like if you're at a strongman competition or if you're at a weightlifting meet, and that's a hot topic for debate. Like, how big can your arch be? Is sumo allowed? Whatever.
Yeah.
But the rules are the rules, and if you make a list, you don't. If you do, you're stronger than everybody else there. Then I thought that was pretty cool. And even before I decided to compete, it was kind of, I always lifted with my roommates. And I don't know, it was good competition. All of our lifts were pretty similar to each other, so it was just a really, really good way to push each other.
So, are they still keeping up with you, or have you like blown past them?
They actually, I'm not sure where one moved. They graduated before me. Not still in touch with them really. I know one got a job in Austin, Texas, which for me, I'm in the Pennsylvania area. I went to Penn State. Very far away. Like it's like a 20-something hour drive. So I hope they're still listening. That would probably be a good thing. I know they did for a little bit when COVID started in America and everything was closed.
Oh, so okay. To get an idea of the timeline, you've been lifting around 2-3 years, give or take.
Probably. I mean, if you cut out COVID, then yeah, it's about 3 years. If you add COVID, then it's like 4.5.
Okay, cutting out COVID is about 3 years, and then I should just get a good measure. Do you still remember your starting lifts compared to when you first started, and obviously now, which we can get into later?
Yeah. So I didn't like when I started lifting in college, it wasn't just like the first time I ever touched a barbell. I was actually fortunate enough to have a small fitness center in elementary school in 8th grade. That's when I first got to bench press.
Oh.
Yeah, but after, I mean, I just kind of messed around. I had no idea I don't even think I used YouTube. Like that was back in 2016 when we still had like viral videos on YouTube and stuff. But then it was again senior year for track. I decided I wanted to be a little bit faster, kind of move towards sprints. So I was squatting and benching. And my beginning numbers, I don't know in kilos. Let me check real quick.
Freedom units.
I got my bench up to about 75 kilos. So at that time was a little bit more than body weight. And my squat was about 150.
Oh, you already built up a 150 squat back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's how kind of when I started lifting again in college, I knew. I guess that's probably one of the drivers for wanting to compete was, hey, I already know that, the first time I started squatting, I was already kind of good at it. So, but I hadn't deadlifted until the summer right before I decided to do like powerlifting, and I think my max at the end of that summer after a couple months was like probably 165, maybe 170.
Oh damn.
So pretty far from where I'm at now.
I mean, yeah, but like a 150 squat, like when you were like eighth grade at this time in senior year.
No. That was senior year of high school. I was 18.
Yeah, so a 150 squat at 18 is like pretty. It's actually pretty good. I mean,
At
especially
like
back then.
6 foot tall and 64 kilo body weight.
Yeah, man, that's so you've always been a good squatter. Damn, that's actually really cool.
I I wish it stayed like the same, but I'm finally getting close to 500. I think so.
Okay,
This year's been a lot of improvement.
there's actually a lot of questions I need to ask, so I need to like think which ones do I want to ask first. So when you were learning that, like, was your coach like your spinning coach teaching you proper form, or were you just like winging it?
Oh no, it was terrible. They were teaching us form, but it was atrocious. It was like, your knees can't go past your toes. They didn't care if your heels came up off the ground, and they told you to look at the ceiling, and only do sets of 10. So I kind of just ended up doing my own thing. Funny enough, I went to a Planet Fitness. It was the only gym I had access to after practice, or to get outside to get away from the practice because we had a real small gym. Um, and I ran small off, like actual whole 13-week small off squat program on a Smith machine. So,
Okay, so you ran small off on a Smith machine.
yep, 3 to 4 times a week of squatting. So I went from my first max was it was 275 pounds, so that should be like 30 kilos less, so like 120 kilos, something like that. And then in that 13 weeks, I got up to the 150.
On a Smith machine. So this is a 150 kilogram squat.
Yeah.
Smith squat.
So I was exclusively training on a Smith machine, but I did the maxes on a straight bar,
Oh no.
like on a real squat bar.
Oh
It
no.
was horrible. It was so dumb. I could it was the worst situation you could think of.
How did you even come off across small off at that time, anyways?
I googled how to get a better squat,
And small off
and it
was.
was like the first thing that came up.
Okay, wait, no. Oh, this is gonna be bad. Okay, disclaimer. Huge disclaimer.
Yeah.
Hunter got this despite training on a Smith squat. This does not mean that you beginners should be going for Smith squats to replace your barbell squats when you can do barbell squats. Please do your barbell squats.
The lack of stabilization is probably the only reason I didn't die doing small logs, because it's just easier.
No, that is
It
true.
was basically, it was practically doing it on like a leg press.
I mean, but it did definitely pump up the quads at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, 10 out of 10 do not recommend for anyone that hears this and thinks, well, I should probably do that. You shouldn't. Do a regular squat and a regular program.
Yeah.
Guess what? My deadlift was terrible, and my bench was still pretty bad and didn't get any better.
Okay, wait. Okay. So moving on to your deadlift, since it is technically your best lift. I mean, your heaviest lift at least, which makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming when you first started deadlift, you did conventional.
Of course, yeah. The first time I ever deadlifted, what would have been during that high school time, but it was a trap bar. And using the high handles, I did like 120 kilos again. It was about the same weight. And I couldn't deadlift 2 plates on a stiff bar. Like, I actually tried. Somebody else was deadlifting, and I walked up to it, and I couldn't even get 2 plates off the ground.
On a conventional.
On conventional, yeah. I didn't even know what sumo was a thing. But then, so when I actually started lifting, and I said I got around maybe 165, 170. I still have the videos. I'll post them in the Discord one day, maybe when you post the link for this. They're bad. Or I could send it to you if you want to like splice them in.
I'm gonna splice them in. I'm totally gonna splice them in.
I think the max on that is, in one of the videos, is maybe like 350 pounds, so like 137.5 or 157.5. And it's so, I mean, I'm wearing like running sneakers, and I'm like completely squatting the whole weight with like a cat back. It's like textbook, don't do that.
Textbook inefficiency. Just again, disclaimer.
It's so inefficient.
Yeah, disclaimer. Cat back is not necessarily bad. It's not bad in the sense of injury. It's in the sense of efficiency. We really need to start educating.
If anybody watches any of my lifts, I am a rounded back puller. Always have been, day one to day when I stopped lifting. Just how I pull. And yeah, it was not a good lift. I'm excited for you guys to make fun of me in that one.
I mean, but your deadlift is still one of the best. Sumo.
Yeah, I switched to. Well, I had finally worked up to like breaking 400 pounds. Big milestone for people that use pound plates. And but I knew that it was terrible. I was actually starting to get some really, really, really low back pain, which wasn't new to deadlifting. I had it before, just daily activities. But it was aggravating it. So I was like, well, I'll switch to sumo at this point. I had already competed. But I was 2 weeks out from my competition and learning a completely new movement. So the day that I did sumo, the first max attempt I took, I fell. I completely fell over.
Wait, okay, sorry, can you repeat that? Like you cut off for a bit there. Can you repeat that? What happened? You fell over?
Oh, sorry. I like got to the lockout, and I just didn't have the balance to have my legs out wide, and I fell over. So definitely no lift there. And then I added weight because I knew it was easy. I just didn't have the balance. And on that day, I hit a 5 kilo PR, all-time PR. The first day I learned sumo.
Wait, okay. Okay, wait, let me process this. So the first time you did sumo, you fell over because you lost balance. And then you tried it again on that same day, same session.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I
got a 5 kilo all-time PR.
Oh, you pulled 5 plates with that, right? Wait, sorry.
At this time, no, it was a little over 4. I hit 5 plates sometime in the trainings after that.
But like, how did it suddenly click for you? Like you said, the first time you fell over, and then the second time it just clicked or something.
Yeah, I just did it again. I have a above average, like body awareness, and I think I don't know. I just knew what cues to give myself, probably from having the kines background, and just did it again and hit it clean. Wish I had that video.
Oh yeah, that would have been rich. So, and then you've never looked back ever since, have you?
Nope. I didn't do conventional for a whole year, not even in training. And I went and tried it again. Immediately had back pain. So I skipped a whole nother year, and then so that brings us up to like somewhat recently, to like when I had my coach. And I told him, and he's like, well, we'll give it a try. And then I hit 5 plates on conventional, right when I started training it again. So back pain's gone. Now I have 2 good lifts.
Oh, wait. So what do you think changed in between, like what you've learned to like, was it bracing or something? Or maybe you're using a better belt that just got rid of the back pain? Or was it just fatigue management?
Hinging, honestly. It's the biggest thing that people in our form check vids is just learning how to actually hinge. Like bending over and hinging are not the same thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
They honestly couldn't be more different. They might get you to the same place, but they're so different.
Yes.
So that's what it was. Because like when when you watch my old video, it is there's not a single ounce of hamstrings in it.
It's all just
conventional deadlift.
Yeah.
I bet you I can send it to you.
I've actually been feeling that recently in my own deadlifts because I pull conventional, and I don't know, I guess it's because I'm actually deadlifting more often now than I normally would in my own life when I'm doing my own thing, and because it's clicking to me better, I haven't felt my back on deadlifts in weeks, like at all, and it feels great. Like I can just pull and without any worry on my back, I don't even feel it. I love it.
Yeah. You have that video now.
Okay, nice. Okay, I'll definitely spice it in later on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I can pull conventional now. I prefer to do it on a deadlift bar as opposed to a stiff bar, but sumo is still like almost 45 kilos higher. Maybe at this point in training, because I haven't been pulling conventional, maybe it's over 50 kilos higher. So definitely still much better.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously once you started sumo, you immediately knew that you were built for sumo, right? Because it just clicked and everything just felt good. So how fast did your sumo proceed? So was it like 4 or 5 when you hit sumo the first time? Since it was a 5-pound PR?
Yeah, it was like 420. So like it's like 195 kilos, I think. So yeah, I did 192.5.
And then
I did that at that lift. 2 weeks later, I had that meet that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I hit 205 at that meet. So I added about 12.5 kilos in 2 weeks, which qualified me for nationals. I actually have that video too. I'll send it to you. That was my roommate recorded that from the stands. And then at nationals, I took too big of a jump trying to do something cool. So I only got like another 5 kilos there. So around 463, I think, about 210. And then about 9 months later, at my next meet, like the next year, I hit 501 for the first time, which is like 227.5, I think. So I broke the 500-pound barrier, and then COVID happened.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much the month after, or 2 months after I broke 500 pounds, COVID happened, and I lost it all.
Man, okay. So technically, if COVID never happened, or maybe it did happen and it wasn't as bad as it was, you probably could be mid 600s by now, probably. Maybe even touching 700.
Possible, because I actually had a pretty good bulk going. My heaviest weight just ever was has only been 80 kilos, and that was when I pulled 501. And then when COVID happened, I was sleeping in so much, skipping breakfast, eating lunch at 1 p.m., and then eating a dinner. I just wasn't consuming enough to maintain my weight, and I dropped all the way back down to like 75.
Oh, that's not so bad. But so do you find like the weight game actually helped you in your sumo technique and like pulling easier or anything?
I would say so. Obviously, sumo is more popular like the smaller you are, but I think like that's only weight class dependent, not like your absolute weight. So although I compete previously in the 75 class, I should be much bigger. So I have a lot of extra room for muscle that's still not going to get in the way of the lift like a super heavyweight would. So I think even if I were to go up to, say 100 kilos body weight, I would still probably be pretty efficient just because I have so much room for muscle mass.
Yeah. Man, it's okay.
So yeah, gaining weight shouldn't do anything other than make the lift go up.
Yeah, that's pretty freakish. Oh, I just realized. So we actually haven't mentioned it, but I know it's in your name, or I don't think it might be in your name anymore on the server. But some people may not know your lifts. So, what are your best lifts in competition, and what weight class?
That's a good question. I think I might have it in the server. Let me. I do. Excellent. My best squat in the gym is 207 kilos. In competition, it's only 190. Fun story about that. I'll tell you in a second. My best bench is also in the gym. I hit that right before my deload slash time off, which was 129 kilos. And then my best deadlift is 6 plates, 265 kilos, also in the gym. My best meet lifts, like I said, were 190, 127.5, so not far off, and then 262.5, I think.
That's
so they're all pretty close.
Was it at the 70?
All at 75.
Oh, 75. What if? Man, that's insane, dude. Actually, that is honestly crazy. Do you think
Didn't win.
do you think like your arms are a bit shorter than most people who are 6 foot tall, since your bench is pretty damn good for your size and your for your like kind of body weight and your height and everything?
Yeah, I think my bench will be good when I get to an appropriate body weight. It's just my chest size to like distance that I have to bench is just
it's ridiculous.
Terrible. Like my chest is, I can still count my ribs like through my chest like muscle. That's not something most powerlifters can say or should be able to say. Like my buddy of mine who benches 405 is huge.
Yeah, that's what we always say. That's why, like, if you ever feel like your chest is lacking, just get a big bench. Like, it's very rare to see people with a 405 bench having small pecs.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at like the super arch people, they're still really, really strong.
Oh yeah.
They just took it up a notch with their technique. Like they're still absolutely jacked and could probably bench 315 for reps completely flat back.
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, there's also just like that huge genetic factor of them just being monsters, anyways.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the difference between my competition squat and my gym squat, because I hit that 207 a week after the competition 190.
Oh.
The strength was there. Yeah. 190 was supposed to be my opener at Collegiate Nationals. For those of you that aren't super familiar with how powerlifting works, it goes in order: squat, bench, deadlift, and you get 3 lifts, like 3 1-rep maxes per lift. So you start out at maybe 90%, 91% of your max. That's called your opener. That's supposed to be super easy, something that you're guaranteed to get. And then you just go up from there. So my opener was going to be 190. I missed it on time. I didn't actually get to do it. There was an equipped lifter, and they were not very nice in the warm-up room. Them and their coach were hogging all of the equipment because it's a shared space.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually completely missed first lift, and they made me retake it because I was absent. So my second attempt was actually my opener. And then when I went in for my third, I was kind of worried, so I tried to play catch up, and it took too big of a jump up to like 212, I think, which is just ridiculous. Nobody should take
that's
big of a jump.
A huge jump.
I just missed it. Yeah. 22.5 kilo jump is, I mean, that's a third of my body weight.
Yeah, I think maybe you could have gotten away with like 200, maybe.
Yeah. Well, my warm my warm-ups were even crazier. So I always take the empty bar, and I took one red plate, so 70 kilos. Did a couple reps, put my knee sleeves on. That's when I found out that we were running late. So I jumped up to 3 reds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is 100 and... So I went from 20 kilos to 70 to 170. And then I went out and did 190.
Wait. To another 2, 3, oh yeah, 3. You went from 1 rep plate to 3 rep plates, right?
Yeah.
Immediately.
Nothing in between.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, immediate, back to back.
Oh my god, that's brutal.
That's, yeah. If you're ever lucky enough to go to any national event, collegiate nationals, raw nationals, or in your country, or something like that, be prepared for it to be terrible. Because they are logistical nightmares.
Oh yeah, I've seen like the videos of like for example Juji competing against like powerlifting meets and then getting to see the back rooms and everything. Like it's just completely chaos.
It is. You know, you'll have 6 people warming up on one rack, all different heights, all different weights, and then all of and then each one of those 6 people has at least one person with them, like their coach or their handler. And then you're up to 12 people kind of sharing a rack. And then you throw in all of their duffel bags and their belts and their
all their gear
all over the place and their snacks and stuff. Yeah, you guys kind of have to like tiptoe through the room.
And like it's technically all a full day thing as well. Like it's not like you do your opener and then you immediately do your second lift. It's like you do your opener and then you cycle through everyone else again, and then you get to your second lift, right?
Yeah, it's usually 10 to 15 minutes between lifts. So that gives you a half an hour to 45 minutes of lifting for each lift. So we'll average it out and say like a little over 2 hours to do the lifts, but then you get like upwards of an hour between each one. So it goes like 45 minutes of squatting, and then the other groups have to squat. So that could take at least an hour. And then you get the bench, and then you wait another hour, and then you'll deadlift.
Oh.
So and then if there's other people like your friends lifting in other flights after you, you're obviously going to stay and you're going to wait for them, or maybe you did really well, you're going to wait for the award ceremony. So it could easily be 6+ hours. And weigh-ins are 2 hours before lifting actually starts, so 8 hours.
Oh yeah, weigh-ins, and then like if you don't fit it, you're gonna have to desperately water cut just to fit your weight class that you're planning to compete in as well. That's like even more horrendous. And then there's always, like you said, like all the gear and everything. Like you have to put on your knee sleeves, and if it's like equipped, you can put on your knee wraps, then your squat suit and everything. Oh,
yeah. It's a lot more than people see from the outside, sitting in the stands.
Oh yeah, and the outside is just like people come out and lift, like, but on the back rooms, it is a logistical nightmare. And how do you cope with it? Like, how do you deal with like waiting like 30-40 minutes to do the next lift? I mean, not like you open it and then you wait like 20-30-40 minutes to do your second lift, and then you have to like, how do you remain warm and everything? Do you still like?
That doesn't usually happen. It's unless something goes wrong, it's usually maybe 15 minutes. And then the long durations, like an hour between like squat and bench. But yeah, staying warm is honestly not even a concern. I think the adrenaline just kind of keeps you there, because they always supply chairs, or they should supply chairs in the waiting area, and you pretty much just sit there for like 15 minutes doing absolutely nothing except maybe eating candy. So yeah, I don't know if it's the atmosphere, but staying warm usually isn't a concern. You don't have to go maybe do like light reps or anything like that.
Oh, maybe it's just me then.
Or maybe it is.
Yeah.
maybe I would do better if I put an empty bar in my back and did a couple reps while I was waiting.
Yeah, just keep yourself warm. Because I know for sure, like for me, maybe it's because yeah, you said the environment's different and you're like super focused and everything. But like just waiting past like 5 minutes for me on any heavy lift, it's just gonna throw me off. Especially if it's like something big on my mind, like especially something as big as a meat PR or whatever. It's just gonna keep playing in my mind. I'm like gonna like it feels off by after like 5 minutes or so. It just feels something.
Yeah, I guess that's probably something. At least when you have more experience with competing, it's kind of something you train for. Once you get close to your meet, you, whether purposeful or accidental, take usually 8 to 10 minutes between your like top heavy singles. And if you lift with some friends, that's not a difficult thing to accomplish.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's easy to stand around and talk for 10 minutes.
But then also, I guess like especially at the higher stages when you're like waiting in between reps to like squat 350, 360. So then like 10, 15 minutes is like pretty normal waiting times where you just recuperate yourself per set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that like openers are usually around 90-91%, and like it's okay. I can see for a 1 rep max or like for like a single 90 and 91 would be a definite check. Like you shouldn't miss that at all. So
Yeah.
I guess it should feel like a RP 8.5 or so ish for that.
Yeah, it's usually the guideline for beginners is like do a weight that you can do for a triple. So a triple at 10 is a single at 8, and then something you can double, and then your new 1 rep max.
Yeah, that's definitely something experience. That's only something experience can tell you. I can know like I mean experience as handling yourself with weights, but also experience being in that sort of environment because everyone knows like when you're sorry, go.
Go.
Okay, I'll go first. Like when you're in that environment and your mental state is so different from like just training in the gym, like even 90% could feel like much heavier than it should just out of nerves, or it could even feel lighter than it should, just because of the adrenaline and everything.
Yeah, I've never been very good at sticking to the plan with picking attempts and stuff, as you may have alluded to when I took a 22.5 kilo jump. But my coach usually isn't my handler because we often compete at the same meet and he's busy competing. So he can't lift and handle at the same time. So I'll either have somebody else or I'll kind of do it myself, which isn't the best idea. You definitely want somebody to be a little bit more objective with your lifts. Because I've actually never gone 9 for 9, like getting all 3 squat, all 3 bench, all 3 deadlift, because I like to push the last lift a little too much. My coach, on the other hand, has, I think, only ever missed 1 lift in 6 competitions. And that was the first meet we ever did together. He missed a squat, which was interesting. He definitely had it, and he's way stronger than that now. But that just kind of shows the difference between proper planning and, letting your ego get ahead of yourself.
Do you think it's the environment that's just throwing you off?
Oh, for sure. Like, most of the time when I miss a lift, I've already hit it in the gym. Like, I've hit 6 plates in the gym on a bar that, on the stiffest bar possible, which was mine. And I hit it at like an RP 8.5. It was an amazing lift. I, didn't even really get close to hitting 601 in either competition I attempted it. Like, I got it to the knee. And then when I hit my current meet record, it was like, trying to think. It was only I think it was only 2.5 kilos less than the 6 pound plates. whether I think that's like 262.5 I mentioned. It was like an RP 10. It was a max, and it was only my second attempt. So, you know, 2 weeks prior I hit 6 plates at an 8. So you'd think you'd be able to do it in competition, but some days that's just not really how it works.
Oh yeah, fortunately.
Got to be prepared for stuff like that.
Yeah, it's something that you just have to face in reality. Like strength isn't always linear. Sometimes just fluctuates out of nowhere, even 2 weeks. But basically, you're saying that the record that you set could have been higher. In other words, like it was. Yeah.
It should have been higher. Yeah, like all of the estimates. You know, when you hit a triple and you punch it in an RP calculator or something, all of my estimates are much, much higher. I just can't do it.
Well, you definitely need a handler.
I think it's a mental block. Like, hitting 405 for 4-pound plates for me was a huge, in competition, was a huge barrier. I had done it in the gym several times, not even leading up to a meet, just randomly. Like, I'd hit it several different times. I hit it on the box squat first, and then I hit it 2 or more times on a regular competition squat. But I didn't hit 405 in competition until like that meet in what was it? The meet that I did with my coach in November. So what is that, like 8 months ago? 7 months ago? And now I'm getting close to 500 in the gym. So it's kind of like a mental barrier. Like a friend of mine, he hasn't hit 315, 3 plates on bench in competition yet. And he was struggling in the gym. He just, every time he would attempt it, it would be like a RP 9.5 super grinder, until one day I told him, just like, one of these days you're gonna attempt it, and it's gonna be super easy, and you're gonna blow right past it. And that day was about 2 weeks ago. He hit it at like an RP 6.
315.
It was incredible. 315.
So what's his max now?
I expect his bench to start flying by now that you're past that mental barrier.
Wait, is this like in 315 competition or like at the gym for an RP6?
At the gym.
As a 1 rep max?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it shouldn't have been a 1 rep.
Oh, yeah.
He's hit it a bunch of times, you know. But I told him, like, you know, what, you just need to train without hitting it until you're strong enough that it's a warm-up weight. And that's what he did. And that's definitely my advice to anybody who's struggling with like a arbitrary number, whether it's a 2-plate bench or a 3-plate squat or a 7-plate deadlift. Like, those arbitrary numbers, they get in your head and makes it a lot more difficult than it should be.
Yeah, that's actually been something I've been starting to advise people as well in the server. And I've always wondered, like, do you think these mental blocks are partly our own perception of the weight as being something big for us to achieve, but also like a natural occurrence of our body? Let's say like you're not ready yet to hit that number, so hence the mental block.
I think I don't think we're ready. I think we skip to it. So you're obviously familiar with Juji Mufu.
Yeah.
So he has been gunning for a 700-pound deadlift for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And he kind of went on this. He did like kind of like the series where he, you know, every single person that he would go meet, he would ask them deadlift advice. And I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was the Spud Inc. guy who makes the Spud Inc. straps. He owns that company. I forget his name.
It was,
but he.
Yeah.
I think it was him. He had the best advice. He's like, you hit a 650-pound deadlift, and the next step you think the next step is 700. Next step is not 700. It's 670, and then it's 690, and then it's 700. Nobody wants to take the step between. Like, I hit Like as soon as I hit 551, my next goal was 601.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to do anything in between.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it works.
It's like for bench when you go for like 2 plates, you immediately go for 3 plates, and then the next one's 4 plates, even though like there's a massive gap in between.
Like if you're gonna bench, if you just hit a 90 kilo bench PR, you're not gonna go for 97.5. You're gonna go for 100, even though you probably can't do 100.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to walk around and say, my bench is 2.5 kilos less than 2 plates, or 2.5 kilos.
Yeah, I gotta get a PT number.
Deadlift.
Gotta get a PT number.
So, yeah, I think everybody needs a pretty number.
But I think in terms of I think it was Monday night that gave the advice, and I think in terms of deadlift teaching, man, who was it? I don't remember either, but it could have been the same guy who taught him that. And this is something that I actually started noticing after I watched that video, was that Yuji, whenever he deadlifts, he actually shrugs his shoulders ever so slightly when he deadlifts. And now I've actually been noticing that on some people as well, and sometimes I do it myself as well. When I deadlift, like I shrug it a bit, and I'm now like really focused on just keeping my shoulders, just letting them hang and keep it down. That was actually some really good advice, and I believe that actually helped Yuji a lot in his deadlift journey as well. But
yeah, he had that kind of bodybuilder
the shrug thing
style, like shrug back and like tighten your lats kind of thing at the top, and that makes it a lot harder. I mean, you're trying to lift the weight another 3 inches. Yeah,
especially if he's lucky enough that he has really long arms, but then it also adds like unnecessary length to his already to something he already has advantage in. But yeah, that's like a really hard pill to swallow, but it's also reality where like stick bench, like you hit a 315 bench, you hit 3 plates. The next journey isn't 4 plates. It's like 320, 325, the small jumps, 3 to 4 plates is a massive gap.
Yeah, like that's on bench. I mean, that's several years if you're lucky. You know, a lot of people can bench 315. A lot less people are going to bench 405.
Yeah, even naturally too. Like that's a sick number, but
yeah. There was a guy that used to go to my gym. He moved. He got married and moved away. Older guy. I think he's pushing 30. But openly, very, very openly, not drug tested, powerlifting. And I thought he was crazy strong. Like, I thought he had maxed out his, not natty potential when I was training near him at the gym. Because sometimes I was the only person there. I'd have to spot him. I remember the one day I said to myself, I'm like, if he doesn't hit this lift, he's going to die. Like, I can't help him. He was doing 420 pounds, so 190 kilos, on bench for triples. And I'm like, there's just no way I will be able to pull this off of this guy. But yeah, so when he left, he was like a 700-ish pound squatter, like for like a max, and like mid 400 pound bencher. And I remember him doing like 705 on deadlift for a triple.
Conventional, or was he a sumo puller?
Conventional. And now, like a year and a half later, maybe, he does like he does a little over 700 on squat for sets of 5. He benches 520 for like triples, so like an extra 100 pounds. And his deadlift, I think he hit 800 pounds in training.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, and he just had a kid.
Oh my God.
So he's like so he's doing this while a new parent.
Dear Lord, what is this, man? Oh.
Yeah, and I think he competes at 125 kg.
Yeah, so he's a pretty big dude, but that's insane. Like,
yeah, those are some really, like, tested, untested, those are some big numbers.
Very big numbers, like, what, mid 700s for a set of, what is it, 5? On squats?
Yeah, set of 5.
On squats, and then 520 for sets of 3. Dear Lord. That's insane no matter how you look at it, even untested. But, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's benching more than all but less than 10 people in the Discord's deadlift.
Yeah.
I mean, 500-pound bench is insane.
Yeah. I mean, if you can bench 500
reps.
pounds, you're like, yeah, for reps too. Like 90 on 90, you're just strong. Like there's no way to put it. Like benching 500 plus is strong.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I wonder what goes through their heads. Like I assume the guy was also insanely confident with himself as well. Like he's just so sure about the weights.
Oh yeah, like and like in a typical not natty fashion too. He gets like super crazy hype and stuff like that. He's a really nice guy though. I mean, he's a known powerlifter. I could say his name. His name is Nick Forte, Forte. He's got not like a huge following on Instagram or anything, but you could definitely look him up and check out some of his stuff.
Forte, what a name!
It's impressive.
Shout out to you, Nick.
Forte.
Oh.
Yeah. His slogan is "Flip the switch."
Oh my god!
Like going from normal, flipping the switch, and then becoming like crazy.
I like the guy already, but okay. So, talking about the whole jumping thing for like PRs and progression, how have you been able to like incorporate that into your own training? I mean, I know like we all slip up here and there, and there's tons of things that we still gotta learn. But for you yourself, as like I mean, obviously you're still wanting to progress and everything with your really high numbers. So how are you gonna like take that philosophy to yourself in not only your meets but also your training to like the next jump isn't 7 plates, it's like maybe 6 or 5, 6, 10, stuff like that?
I definitely have a problem with that, but my coach and I have made it so almost all of my barbell training, my main lift, is RPE based, and I have a target RPE for the session and then back down sets. So it becomes pretty clear what I'm going to do for that day. On top of having a target RPE, there's also a suggested weight based off of what I should be able to do for that day.
I love those programs.
Yeah. So when, let's say I'm supposed to hit a triple at 415 on squat, and it's supposed to be an RPE 7. When I go into the gym and I'm warming up and I think I feel good, I know that there's no chance that I'm going to do 470 for a triple at 8. I might feel good and maybe I do 430, but I know that I'm not going to be in there that day hitting a PR. If I am, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So having it written down on paper, whether or not I actually get the lift, telling me that, yeah, you did it, but you did it wrong, definitely helps. Kind of like when you're in grade school and you finish a math problem, but you didn't show your work.
Mm-hmm.
And your teacher's just like, well, it doesn't count if you don't show your work. Like, but I did it.
Yeah, because I mean, long term, not showing your work and not understanding your work properly is gonna shut you down weeks later. But yeah, I've actually experiencing the same thing with my own program. So I'm running TSA stuff right now, and what's his name? Or their name?
Indy, Indy.
Hi, Indy. Hello. You big fluffy cat. So glad to see one of them pop in.
He's actually the small one.
Oh, was this chunky at once?
Much.
Oh boy. So, where was I? Okay, yeah. So, I'm actually running TSA's program right now, TSA beginner, because despite my weird numbers, I still think myself as a beginner, especially since I don't actually squat and bench as much as I should have done on my own stuff. But also, I believe I can still milk them out, as anyone should. If you can still make out linear progression, milk out linear progression. But yeah, looking at the program, I love how they put it set up as not only RPE based but percentage based. So the estimated number that you should do like for the day will be calculated based off the percentage that you put in and everything. but they also have like this RPE stuff. So even if that number, say, is the calculate number for the day, but if you feel really good that day or really bad, then just focus on the RPE target. So if it like goes over, then you can. If it feels like you're not going to be able to hit this lift at this RPE, just shoot down the weight a bit or whatever. So it's like it's really good for like self auto regulation for per session basis, and like for like and I love how when programs like that in Excel set it out like the entire thing for like 13 weeks ahead. You can also see like, let's say the target RPE for that lift is maybe an 8 and 8.5, but the next week is a deload. So being a little cheeky, I kind of like, okay, next week's a deload, maybe I can go a bit higher on RPE this time. And like even today was actually pretty good. I actually hit a PR, a double overhand PR actually. I managed to hit 150 for a single on a double overhand.
Double overhand.
Which is
my double overhand's pretty bad.
No,
comparatively.
My double overhand, my grip hasn't been that good lately since I don't really train this much anymore. But I don't know, like maybe for some reason that day I felt like I did 130 and like it didn't slip or anything. So I felt like, and it was supposed to be 145. And I was like, I'm feeling good. So maybe I just put 150 and then just record it and just go for it. And yeah, I did. I managed to like at least hit it to lockout before I felt like my grip was slipping, and then I just set it down. But yeah, like stuff like that, you really can't theorize it. Like you have to go through it and you have to experience it to actually know how it's supposed to feel like.
My coach he's the same philosophy. Like he kind of lets us, like if it's like the last primary squat day or last primary deadlift day, before a deload, he kind of doesn't mind if he'll even say, he's like, yeah, you go ahead and push it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of nice. Who makes the TSA? I forget.
The TSA is the strength athlete, so it's Bryce. I mean, there's two Bryce. Calgary Barbell is Bryce Crabshark, and TSA is, wait, I need to check this again. I keep forgetting which Bryce. TSA. Let's see. Bryce Lewis. That's it. That's who he was. Bryce Lewis.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. He's pretty good.
Oh yeah. I'm actually really loving his videos a lot, and the program's been really great. I mean, the first time I ran the program, I did some big mistakes. One, I tried going for 1 rep max on week 9. If you there's two ways to set, like week 9, and then you can either set it as 9 weeks or 13 weeks. If you set it as 9 weeks, then the 9th week is just supposed to be triples. But I wanted to do 1 rep maxes anyways, so I fucked it up there. But also, like after the whole deload came Ramadan, so I spent that entire half of the program, later half of the program, in a fasted state. So I went like from like 80 something or like 78 to like, I think I'm at the weight right now. I think 72 or 73 right now. So yeah, but on the other hand, I managed to keep my strength. So going a little weight and keeping a strength, like still kind of PR technically. And even now, I'm actually somehow losing weight just a bit, but everything's been feeling really good. And it kind of scares me a bit that training is starting to feel really good. And you feel like, damn, if I like screw up my out of gym life in any way, this is going to go downhill really fast.
That's how I felt when my squat was like actually starting to progress again. I was just like, this is too good to be true. Something's going to go wrong.
Like one day I'm just going to stay up 1 hour later than I should have, and then my entire sleep schedule gets ruined. I miss a meal or whatever, and like everything's just going to start feeling bad again. How do you deal with that? It's like, especially for someone who actually competes.
I don't. Just kind of make do with. I mean, I think it would be different if I was like winning meets. You know, if I was like doing this for either my living or to support my living. Like if I was a coach and I needed to do well in order for people to buy my coaching, like people like Sean Noriega and stuff like that. but I'm not that good in the terms of the competitive realm. So as much as I want to be, to have the perfect meet and have the perfect training sessions, it is what it is. It's recreational for now. So I usually don't let it leave, or I don't bring it with me to the next session. If I have a bad day, I have a bad session, I don't let it affect the next day. Just kind of be like, well, that day sucked, but there's no reason that this one's going to suck.
So do you also base on how you feel the next day? Because say like the last day you miss your RPE and you have to lower the weight and everything. So next day, do you like keep that balance from the previous day? Like you're expecting your performance to be a bit lower, or do you just go how you feel on that day?
I totally start over each day because, from my experience, how I feel even in warm-ups or how I feel throughout the day almost has no impact on the training session. I've hit at least 3 deadlift PRs in the gym when my warm-ups felt worse than ever. I mean, they felt terrible. Like I was at 65% of my max and it was like an RPE 8. But then it stayed in RPE 8. It just felt the same, and then I hit a max. And then I've had days where it didn't feel like the weight was there, and then all of a sudden I just hit this
ceiling,
dead stop, and overshoot everything. And those were some of my worst days. So there's just no way to tell until you try it, or until you get really, really close to the weight you're supposed to do for that day.
That's interesting to take into account. I think some of us actually have experienced it as well. Is it a mental thing to you either? Do you feel? Do you remember how your mental state was at those times in the bad lifting sessions and the good lifting sessions? Was there any effect from that?
Yeah, I'm a pretty not hyped up lifter. Like most of the time, only as of recent will I actually put on music. I never wear headphones. These aren't even mine. I have some, but I don't even know where they are. And so I feel like that if I constantly stay, like most people get, they get up here, they get hyped for everything. They're hyped the whole time they're at the gym. If I stay down here, when I have a bad day, I'm only going to drop to here. So dropping from here to here is a lot better than dropping from here to here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's just not that big of a difference for me. And when I have a good day and I'm here and a couple of my buddies show up and I'm going to hit a big, huge deadlift or a big squat PR or something, and I go up to here, it just makes it that much better.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Nick Forte said, you got to flip
the switch.
I just usually keep it off. And that's why I like to use ammonia salts so much, is because it's a really good way to take you from here to here.
But only when you need them. Oh, actually, speaking of ammonia salts, so do you use it a lot in your normal training, or like you just still, again, like you said, you just keep it switch off and just chill for your normal training?
Pretty much anything over RPE 8. Like it's prescribed to be RPE 8 or higher. For squat and deadlift, I'll use them. Not bench, because setting up by the time you set up on bench and stuff like that,
cycle.
It's pretty much wore off. Yeah.
You kind of need someone there to like pop it right when you're about to lift off.
Yeah. I love have you ever used the capsules before, or like a bottle?
Oh, well, I've never even touched ammonia salts.
You've never even used them? So the capsules that you see people use,
when they break?
Those were, those were actually discontinued.
Oh.
Like the singular person who made them, like his company, I think he sold his company, or he closed his company for whatever reason. And they're not even going to be available for medical use anymore. They have little towelettes now for medical, for like first aid kits and stuff. So there's no more snaps.
Wait, so this entire time the snaps were just made by one company?
As far as I know, yeah. That's why they all look the same. I've never
Oh,
seen one that looks different, and I've used a lot.
oh, okay, wow. I thought they just looked the same because they're like, why change it? I thought like a lot of companies made, but like only
Yeah,
one company. Okay, so now people like powerlifters just take a towel and sniff it for the ammonia.
I've heard people say that those don't work very well. So I think it's pretty much just going to be bottles or nothing, like the shake bottles,
Oh, okay, okay,
which
that's
is kind of unfortunate because the capsules were very, very convenient. It was the same dosage every time as you know, it was the same. There, there's no chance that it's gonna like spill in your bag or explode in your car because your car got really hot. Um, and it's never gonna be like too strong or too weak because it's the same every time, all of which happens with a bottle.
yeah, yeah. But I think also like this is that sound. It's just like not only like it's the ammonia sound, but also like that crack. It's like a cue to like flip the switch. Like you crack it, it's time to
It
go.
is, yeah.
Like an
And
audible
I've
cue.
I've actually cracked ammonia in my teeth before.
Like
I was hitting a deadlift PR with straps, so I couldn't use my hands, and it takes too long to put the straps on. So I just held it in my mouth and I bit down and then smelled it and spit it out.
how
Pretty
was that?
stupid.
Like
I mean, as long as you don't inhale through your mouth, it worked.
oh, okay. Well, wait. Okay, what was the deadlift that you were hitting for that? Was it a PR for the straps or?
I have I have no idea. Most likely, it was quite a while ago.
Huh.
I think that's when I was attempting to pull conventional again after that 2 year break.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it would have been one of those lists.
Well, actually,
Hence the straps.
makes sense. Wait, so I was actually forgetting. Like in your meets, is it okay to use those ammonia salts like for?
Yes, but not in front of like the judges. Like it's allowed, but they're very. Once you step out onto that platform and you're in front of a crowd and the judges, it's very respectful. It's very reserved. So if you swear on the platform, you
Oh
can get
yeah,
disqualified from the whole meet,
like that one
and
lifter.
you're guaranteed to miss that lift, but they could disqualify you from the entire meet. So things like that, and like the ammonia and stuff like that, you usually do in the waiting area, which is behind a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think their reasoning for that is, of course, it's allowed, it's safe, it's blah, blah, but the grandmas and grandpas that may be watching the live stream don't know that. They just see somebody sniffing this bottle of stuff and then freaking out. So they probably don't want to have to like put a disclaimer on every video.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But oh yeah, for the meets, I assume that you're also completely drowning in pre-workout the whole day, just to keep the energy up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like pre-workout. Like it's not something I need, but it's just something I enjoy. But yeah, for the meet, I'll usually do a full serving, 300 milligrams of caffeine, warming up for squats, and then I'll do another half of a scoop, which gets me up to 450 after bench, like before deadlifts.
To keep
So,
the energy up.
but I've got up to 600 milligrams for a meet before of caffeine.
Oh, actually, yeah. I like coffee. I really do, and pre-workout or like whatever those energy drinks. I actually like soda and everything like that. But I know that there's a very high likelihood that you just build tolerance, unless if you're one of those few lucky people who can never build tolerances, and that I'm happy for you. But actually, I think a few weeks ago I started like consuming a lot more caffeine and normally would, like once or twice a day for whatever reason, because schedules and everything was like busy. I'd have to drive to uni in the morning, come back in like afternoon or something, and then immediately head to the gym, and then or whatever for like days on end. And I usually don't go out at all aside from uni and gym, but I've been going out on the weekends as well for my own personal stuff, and like I do not like going out. and it's just been getting to me. So I've noticed that I've been consuming a lot more caffeine, like whether it be energy drinks or just coffee on it. So one of those days I just like, no, okay, no, I'm not gonna take anything for the day and just like tough it out, just so that I don't start building a dependency or even tolerance. I guess it's mostly the tolerance. Like if I knew that I was one of those lucky few who would never build a tolerance for caffeine, then sure, I'd pump caffeine just for the taste as well.
Yeah.
Like it's great. But having
Yeah.
that idea that you get used to 6 cups of coffee and that you need to get off it to cycle it back out, yeah, I don't want to go through that.
Yeah, I had a pretty bad run with caffeine last spring. I'm a Pennsylvania certified teacher, and to do that, I had to do student teaching. A lot of the guys in the Discord know how terrible that was for me. But so every morning, my breakfast was some form of coffee or espresso beverage, and then I would go about my day. Sometimes have a soda. Not that there's a lot of caffeine in soda, but there's some. And then I would come home and get to the gym at like 5 p.m. and but choose to take my pre-workout, which is 300 milligrams at 5 p.m. And I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. So it was kind of like a vicious cycle of like not getting enough sleep, so I needed the caffeine, which then made me not sleep. It was rough.
What was your highest at the time? Like, do you think 600, 700?
In the fall, last summer actually, because it was for work, I accidentally got to like 720, and that is in fact my physiological limit without symptoms, because I was experiencing like severe anxiety.
Oh.
Like I had done 600 several times, no problem. I could do 600 right now and I'll probably be fine. But when I broke the 700 throughout the day, it was really bad, because I guess I went crazy. The only reason that I didn't like probably go see a doctor is one of my friends is a psychology major, and he explained to me that the only reason I was freaking out was how much caffeine I had that day. So I was like, okay, there's a reasonable explanation for why I feel like this. So yeah, if anybody listening, if you had a little bit more caffeine than usual, and you're like experiencing like anxiety and like a panic attack type stuff,
Those help.
just try to think about what you drank that day, because knowing that it was just one too many cups of coffee or energy drinks is a really good way to calm you down and realize that you're not going insane. But yeah, I used to move furniture for work in the summers, and that's what I was doing that day. I had a Bang energy drink, which is 300 milligrams, and then I had at the end of work, I had a Red Bull, which is 120 milligrams, and then I went to the gym and had 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about energy drinks now makes me crave soda or energy now. Dang it.
Yeah.
I mean, the taste is good. You gotta admit that. Okay, actually, speaking of energy drinks, I kind of want to bring this up. Okay, so we know that as someone who doesn't really consume energy drinks orally, it's not really a big thing for me. But I know like some people are really adamant about what they think the best energy drink is for them. So, what would you say is your top 3 energy drinks?
So, excluding like powdered pre-workout.
Sure, we can. Okay.
That you would get in a can.
Okay. 3 energy drinks.
I'll say both.
Yeah.
And then pre-workout. Okay. As far as energy drinks, they really haven't done that much for me. I do like, trying to think of an order. Oh, I know.
How about like taste?
I'll give you the number one first. The number one is Bang makes a half and half iced tea lemonade.
Okay.
And it's not carbonated like most of their other drinks are, or maybe it's very, very lightly carbonated. So it's a half and half like an Arnold Palmer, and with 300 milligrams of caffeine in it. So you could drink it before the gym, and you won't have that. I don't know if you've ever had a carbonated drink before the gym, and maybe stomach doesn't really feel right. Well, this isn't carbonated, so you could slam this whole amazing tasting tea lemonade as your pre-workout, and it's like I actually bought a case on Amazon before I had pre-workout.
Oh, okay.
Like a 24 pack of them.
Wow.
That is definitely the best energy drink in my opinion. 2 and 3 would probably have to go to the Orange Dreamsicle Ghost energy drink. Ghost makes energy drinks if you didn't know. They're amazing. They taste ridiculously good. It's crazy. And then the Ghost Red Berry, which is Sour Patch Kids flavored.
Sour Patch Kids? Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite candies.
Sour Patch Kid energy drink. They have blue and red.
Oh god, I miss Sour Patch Kids. Oh, great. God, why does America always have the best tasting things, candies or flavors? Dang it!
What do you mean? That's obesity. That's what we would do.
I have, but like growing up there, you guys had the best candy. Gushers, like Fruit by the Foot, Sour Patch Kids, like oh my god. Dang it. I miss all those candies. We don't have them here, unfortunately.
No.
So those are your top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can find the Bang half and half tea lemonade, very, very good, not carbonated. And then the Ghost drinks are just they're not the best pre-workout. They're 200 milligrams of caffeine, but they just taste better than anything else. We sold them at the gym that I worked at. That's why I've tried so many of them. And then as far as pre-workout goes, most people are familiar with Lane Norton, professional powerlifter, professional bodybuilder, professional everything else. This guy's a genius. PhD. He did his research on protein biomapping or something like that. Like it was crazy.
It is the perfect package.
Yeah, dude's nuts. Point is, he makes a pre-workout, or owns a company that makes a pre-workout called Outwork Nutrition, and I haven't found it's very minimal. There's only like 5 ingredients, like 5 active ingredients, including caffeine and citrulline malate. But it just works way better than anything else, in my opinion. Like I've taken Gorilla Mode, which is supposed to be the best pre-workout. It's got 15 ingredients that are all maxed out, and it honestly is, in my opinion, isn't as good.
So, like, what's your criteria for like saying like Gorilla's bad compared to Lane Norton's pre-workout? Like, what's the difference?
How I feel after taking it, and not just on a one-time basis, on the tub basis, the whole tub of the pre-workout. Like, I've had days where I would take either one, and it, nothing really happened. Maybe my tolerance was too high. Maybe, wasn't feeling it that day. But I would say I've never taken the Gorilla Mode or any other pre-workout and had the best workout of my life. I've taken the Outwork Nutrition and had the best workout every single time I've ever had the best workout.
So like
it has a couple of nootropics in it. Rhodelia rosea, which is supposed to be it's like a stress inhibitor, but they use it in the context of between sets you are more focused and less stressed about upcoming lifts.
Makes sense.
So I guess it actually kind of helps in my perspective of like not being up here and being down here. I think it probably helps me stay down here when I need to be.
Yeah. That's actually what I think. It's like
the other ones I'm not super familiar with, like L-Dopa. I know it's a common one. I just, off the top of my head, don't remember what it does.
Oh, man, I actually studied this last semester. Oh, man, I forgot L-Dopa. I could look it up, but yeah. So, like, even though we study these things, it's not like we remember them all the time off the top of our heads. But I would imagine that the nootropics do at least I imagine they inhibit in the sense that they just cover up the receptors or something. Probably.
Yeah, it's not like it. Everybody expects pre-workout to make them feel like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I take the pre-workout to like not feel crappy. So it keeps me at like a
That's another way to
baseline,
think about it. Yeah. I'm
like
not curious.
a normal baseline.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily. So you're saying that it doesn't necessarily make you feel like you can conquer the world, but more like it gives you that absolute it gives you a sense of absolute confidence that this workout you're going to do it. Kind of sense.
And like a lot of people think, I would say most of the world thinks caffeine gives you energy.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't do that. Like
Oh no.
it inhibits a lot of things that make you feel tired.
Yeah.
You would need Adderall or other ephedrins if you want to get energy artificially. And luckily, those aren't legal in most places.
Oh yeah.
Not all places, but most.
Mm-mm. Or you could just consume like pure dextrose. I know you can order it on Amazon. I think you can like order like a bag of just pure dextrose.
I have a tub of dextrose. I have a large orange tub from Amazon.
Yeah. Oh man, thinking about that, I kind of want to try it. That outward nutrition. What's it called? Outwork. How much is it?
Outworking someone, yeah. They just upped it, but if you have Amazon Prime, the shipping is free, so it kind of makes up for it. It's $44 for 20 full dose servings, so $2.20 a serving, whereas say Gorilla Mode is like $2.65 a serving.
Still pretty pricey.
It's personally a little expensive in my opinion for how much is in it. It tastes really good though. I like supporting Wayne Norton. But yeah, I think the cause for the price based on the ingredients in it is Rhodelia rosea. So Rhodelia. There's two different variations. There's the extract and then there's the root. One of which, I don't know which, is fairly cheap. Like if you were to go on bulk supplements and look it up, you could get a month's supply for a few dollars. The other one is extremely expensive. You could get a month's supply for like $100.
Okay.
And I think it has both. I think it has the whole plant, and that's why
it's so pricey.
It's so expensive. I assume one of them works and one doesn't, given the price point. So yeah, I assume it has that, and the way it's worded has that more expensive one in it. Yeah. So I bet you without that it would be a lot cheaper, but for all I know, that's what makes it work.
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna buy it anytime soon, but it's gonna be on the list of like people because I gotta try it.
Yeah, I actually left almost a brand new tub of it at work when I moved. So that sucks.
Okay, so like 200 scoops, how much is one scoop? Like one of the scoop things. Like, do you only take one scoop per session or like per use?
They give you a small scoop, so it's like technically two. It's 11.8 grams per serving. So I usually round up to 12. So it's only 12 grams. Like there's not a ton in it. They don't add random stuff like creatine that doesn't need to be in a pre-workout, things like that. Whereas Gorilla Mode is almost 30 grams per serving. But there's things like creatine in it. There's there's an extra 3 grams of citrulline in it. Stuff that kind of fluffs it up unnecessarily, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, you don't necessarily.
And Gorilla Mode doesn't have beta-alanine.
Oh, okay, that's kind of weird.
It's a bit controversial in terms of its efficacy, but some people just like the feeling, myself included.
Oh, yeah. Isn't beta-alanine the one that gives a... Wait, no, citrulline malate is one that gets the tingling feeling, doesn't it?
No, that's beta-alanine.
Oh, yeah, that's beta-alanine.
It's supposed to be... it's an acid buffer, so it works similarly to like sodium bicarbonate. It just binds with hydrogen ions in your blood and in your muscle, so you're less fatigued. But the thing with products like that is they're on a saturation basis, like creatine.
Mm-hmm.
So having it in a pre-workout for anything other than a tingly feeling just doesn't really make sense unless you're taking your pre-workout every
Every
single
day.
day.
Yeah, which kind of also makes you get used to it likely, which kind of decreases the effectiveness. So like when you take
Yeah,
artwork, so you just to be clear, like you take one scoop or you take two scoops and then you like in a, let's say, a bottle like this big.
yeah. I'll usually do about like maybe 6 ounces of water with two scoops, which is 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, and you said it tastes good, man. Ah, dang it!
Yeah,
It's so
I
expensive
like
though.
that they
Man, I
give
want to try
you
it.
a small scoop. Like it makes it two scoops because then if maybe if you're training at night, you could just do one scoop rather than try to have to like find the halfway mark on a bigger scoop.
Man, I am so lazy, aren't I? Like the only reason why I don't even bother taking weight or even buying weight anymore is because I'm just so lazy to like I have to go downstairs, open up the bag, put scoops in, put whatever else in, mix it up, and drink it. Like just for a drink.
What?
Uh,
Well, I think the only reason I was consistent with the pre-workout is, like I mentioned a couple times, I worked at a gym. Obviously, that's the gym that I lifted at, and I would just keep it there. I would
oh,
just keep my tub of pre-workout behind the desk. So whenever I needed it, and then we had mailboxes as employees, I would keep a water bottle, like just a disposable plastic crinkly one, in my mailbox. So I would just fill it up like this much, and then get a sticky note and use the sticky note as a funnel and fill it there. So I would never forget it or anything. And I would do that um, while working because I would usually work before I had to lift. Uh,
mm.
so like last like 10 minutes of work, I would just sip on my pre-workout and then go get changed and lift.
Yeah, I guess that would actually help a lot in terms of consistency. Something that I think is like some kids, especially when you're old enough to like get a part-time job, could help a lot in them like in the journey towards lifting, being fit, and everything. Definitely look to get a part-time job or full-time job at a gym. Like you're already at the gym, you're gonna work out anyway, right?
Exactly, and you won't. I mean, you'll save money on gas or time if you bicycle or if you walk, because you'll already be there. And then the odds of getting a free gym membership are almost 100%. I've never heard of a gym not giving you a free membership as an employee.
Yeah,
So
charging
you're going
you.
to save, anywhere from $10 to $50 a month just on that, which essentially adds to your pay.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you're younger and you're going to get a part-time job and you lift, there is no reason you shouldn't try to get a job at your gym. And it's the easiest thing ever. I mean, you're pretty much stocking drinks. Maybe you sweep the floor here and there and check people in.
yeah. I mean, aside from maybe there's a job with a better pay and you're looking for the pay, but like, yeah, like I said, like I actually didn't even think of the membership thing. So you're saving on transport, you're saving on membership because like who in their right mind would charge their employees to use the equipment? And in fact, you forget about like losing money. You're actually being in a net positive. You're gaining money being at the gym because you work there. You're gonna get paid.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I loved it. The manager at our gym actually asked me to stay and be the manager,
oh,
and yeah, I couldn't do that because I don't think financially it would have been enough given like my academic choices and student loans because America. Um, Plus, my fiance had gotten a job back home where we are now, so she would have had to quit before she even started and find another job. But maybe one day I'll go back.
poor guy. But did he also live the manager?
Um, yes, not like powerlift because it's more of a commercial gym that has like a powerlifting section. Her name is Scotty. She's like 51 years old and is a total badass. Like she does. Have you heard of the Spartan races?
Oh yeah, I
Like the
have.
big like the obstacle. She not only does she do those and have like awards from those, but she's certified to train those classes
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
in her
she is.
50s.
She's a badass. Okay, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
badass. That's
Yeah,
great.
I remember I came in one day and she was lifting, and like I said, she mostly does cardio based stuff. Um, she was still warming up on bench, and she had like 45 kilos on and was doing like super easy sets of five. And I'm like, for somebody who doesn't train strength really, is in their 50s, female, and is still warming up to do like 3/4 of your body weight for like sets of five is crazy.
That's it's really impressive. Like, definitely not a lot of 50-year-olds who can say they can do that, or even half of that.
Yeah, yeah, she's tough. I remember right before we left, she did a 15 kilo, 50-mile ruck,
Oh, what's that?
like ruck, like rucksack, like hiking,
Oh,
basically.
with 15 kilos on the back.
Weighted hike. Yeah. And then the weekend before that, she did a 12-hour race and did like just a foot race and got 44 miles, I think, in 12 hours.
Dear Lord. And she's just a manager of commercial gym. Wow, man, that commercial gym must be one solid gym.
It's a really nice place. I definitely miss it.
Yeah, because I've had actually experienced the worst outcome of a gym. So, have you ever been to a gym where the manager or the staff don't lift?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell the experience is just completely different, right? Like, the environment and everything.
Yeah. Some of our employees, because we had quite a few like college aged or high school aged employees. Some of them lifted. Some of them really, really, really didn't. Like if you were to go up and ask them, like even the name of a machine or an exercise, they wouldn't be able to tell you. And I just feel like that should be like a requirement to get the job there. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a hard
Not
requirement.
not that you like not that you lift, but like that you at least know what the stuff is. You know, I'm not going to go get a job, as, I don't even know what to think of. I'm not going to get a job at a grocery store or a market and not know
Products.
what certain foods are.
Or what even section that like a product is. You kind of need to know the job environment a bit if you want to get a job there.
Yeah, it's a job environment. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, because I've actually been to gyms where this is unfortunate. Like, it used to be a good gym, but then they changed management and completely changed branding because like someone else took over, and like the dude was I think, okay, he wasn't a manager, but he was one of the head staff there, and you know those dudes who like get like a certificate, a 3 month certificate, like, for training, for coaching, for like 3 months. So like, you're gonna hit. I don't know if you've heard me say this. Okay, the guy. This was one time like years ago, when we still went to this gym. I brought my cousin there. We were gonna train, and I was having my cousin do tricep pushdowns. And I mean, it's not like my cousin was like super struggling with them. He's a decent dude, and it was like an RP 6-7 on the tricep pushdowns. So there was effort, but it's not like super super hard effort, but it was effort in the reps. And then the guy comes over when I wasn't there. Mind you, he knows me and how I train, and he doesn't talk to me. But then the moment I leave my cousin, he comes in and says like, "Oh, you shouldn't do this too hard." And okay, I have to translate this into English, but he says word for word, "You'll pop a nerve in your spine if you keep doing this." Word for word.
Or tricep pushdowns.
No, I'm trying to wait. No, it wasn't. No, what is what? A vessel. He says that you'll pop a vessel in your spine if you do this too
I know
hard.
what you meant. I'm just saying that's just crazy.
And then like when I came back, my cousin told me, was like, he said that he relayed the message, and we were both like, what? How are you allowed to work here? Even like coach people. He coaches people there. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. Why it kind of discourages people from working out when they have be afraid of really stupid stuff because they're people that don't even know what the hell they're talking about. But also like, man, why do you guys get hired? Like, at least know some basics if you're gonna work in this sort of environment, man. You're doing it a service. I get it's like easy pay, but still, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Like a couple of my employees, like one of my employees,
Cool.
coworkers. He's the guy that I said I competed with. He was my coach's other client, one of them. He was super cool. He knows a ton about training, and he competes in powerlifting and stuff like that. And then some of the other people have like the only time they've ever been in a gym for anything is work, and it's just so drastically different. Like the things that they help out with, like I would fix machines and ask for replacements when things were obviously like wear and tear,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not something that they can do as an employee because they don't know what to look for. Like when a barbell is dirty and the knurling needs cleaned out, they don't know that because to them it's just like a rusty piece of metal.
But like metal, when you see a metal is rusted, you know it has to be treated. Like, come on, that should be like basic knowledge, even if you don't know anything about lifting.
Oh, you would be so surprised.
Oh my! I guess we both experienced like the nightmares and that. So like, okay, let's put lifting to a side for now. Like, how's you with your kinesiology? You've graduated, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree or bachelor's of science in kinesiology. And then I haven't checked because it takes quite a while, but I should have a certification for teaching. Meet all the requirements. It's just a matter of time until they, literally give it to me. Obviously, that's for health and physical education. And I am on the job hunt, I'm awaiting. I actually applied for a health and phys ed job at my high school, like my old high school.
Oh, that's really
So
nice.
waiting to hear back on that. It's a pretty long process, but that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, teach them while they're young. And like, oh wait, so sorry if you were gonna say something. Like, I just realized this. Like, if you're gonna be teaching them in high school, not only are you gonna teach them while they're young, but you could probably just literally suddenly come across like some freaks that you yourself will be fostering, some powerlifting freaks. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I would like the dream would definitely be to like start a high school powerlifting club because high school powerlifting is fairly big in America, but having actual school clubs for it is very limited.
Mm.
They had right before Collegiate Nationals, like butted up against it was high school nationals. So when we were arriving at the hotel, it was kind of their last day there. So it was kind of cool. I got to talk to a couple of kids and stuff like that, and some of them are crazy. I mean, you're getting like 600-pound squatters, and they're like 17 years old.
My God, what are they feeding these kids nowadays? The hell, man! Some of these kids are freaks. Like 600 pounds when you're 17, and like what was he like in the 100 kilograms or like lighter even?
No, I mean they were big. They were 300 plus pounds.
Oh, but like that's still.
But anything, yeah, either way.
You ever think? I mean, this is eventually going to happen. I'm sure you're familiar with Jesus Olivares, right?
Yeah.
So one of the only kid ever to like actually say that he's 18 and able to squat 900 pounds, and that was in competition.
Yeah.
So
well, I met. Do you know Joseph Pena?
I've heard the name, but I don't remember how he looks like. I've heard the name.
Oh, big. It was a 18-year-old 900-pound squatter. Is still a 900-pound squatter, and he's like 25. That's just usually how that works out. But yeah, I met him at my first collegiate nat. Massive guy. He was like 380 pounds, at like 19 or 20 years old.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had like a 904 squat and like a 500-pound bench and like a 750 deadlift, something like that. Give or take 50 pounds.
Give or take 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But man, some of these kids really are insane. But do you ever think like, what was I going to say? I forgot. Like, if you ever do come across, like, if you do get the job, hopefully you do. I really hope you do get the job. And
Me too.
you come across some of these kids. Like, are you? I mean, from a health standpoint and a kinesiology major, would you actually be okay with like having these kids? Obviously, they're like phenomenal, but like to weigh 300 something pounds, uh, just to get really good numbers at powerlifting meets. Like, are you okay with that? Or would you rather have them like cut down a bit, like be in a more healthier
I mean,
state?
as a kid, I would probably have the, or a young adult, I would probably have them compete at a more reasonable weight class, regardless of how good they were. And just because, who cares if you're the best if you die when you're 40?
Yeah.
Because then everybody forgets.
Even,
You know, like you could be the second. I would rather be the second best or the third best for my whole life than be the first best and only have half of a life.
that's not.
And a lot of people don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's something I was about to say that.
A lot of people would take the number one.
Yeah. It's really different.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily push for a kid into just powerlifting because one of the big in the high school age as a sole sport, because when you do a hyper specification, like somebody who plays baseball or football year round, they don't do other sports. They just spend their off season practicing the same thing. Not only is the rate of like dropout and burnout
It's high.
exponentially higher, but so is injury.
Oh yeah.
So the more sports you do, the less injurious your career will actually be, and generally more successful. Actually, if you look at most professional athletes were multi-sport athletes in high school.
Yeah.
So
Holistic.
I think it would be nice, especially because powerlifting doesn't really have a season. There's meets all year round. It would be a very convenient thing for like a lot of sprinters or a lot of football players to do in their off season, rather than just lift weights with the football team.
This is really good. Like, I did not. I mean, I kind of expected it because I know how you're like, based on like interactions with the server. But like hearing it actually come out, it's pretty rare, especially in the fitness community. Obviously, to like hear like someone like you, a powerlifter who does compete, would say that, nah, I'd rather have like young lifters or like just young athletes in general, like do a bunch of everything and not like super hyper focus on one thing. Because like from a practical standpoint, being holistic in your training is like the best thing you can do to be healthy and fit and like long term and everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean, high school is so like nobody in high school thinks this, but high school is so unimportant.
Yeah.
It's like whether it's career wise, even academically, and especially for sports. Like sure, like it matters in the sense of getting to the next level, but the second you step foot in college, the second you step foot on a college team, nothing from high school matters. Like it's like a reset button.
Oh yeah.
Once you get accepted to an academic program, you're done. Your credentials start over. And my goal, like as not even as a phys ed teacher, as like a high school coach, is to get as many kids on their desired athletic college team or university team. Because like if you look at obviously high school sports in America are like ridiculous.
Mm-mm.
Um, but if you look at the amount of kids that probably could have gone and gotten a scholarship and gotten free school, but maybe they just weren't fast enough, they weren't strong enough to like really demonstrate themselves because their strength and conditioning coach for their football team or their track team
What trash?
was someone's dad that happened to play 20 years ago, and thinks you have to do 5x5 hang cleans 3 times a week.
Oh my god.
Because that's what most teams have.
Yeah.
That's what we had.
So weird.
So being able to like go into that atmosphere more or less overqualified, I think would give so many kids the proper opportunities to like be successful.
No, not only that, but also like you said, like resetting the whole thing and like actually educating them on like what they should do and how they should train. Because I mean, you start out. I mean, we can see it now in the server as well. Like you start out maybe as with a coach who does not know what they're doing, or you try and self-learn, and you get a bunch of misinformation, and it just so happens since you're a beginner that misinformation actually does get you results. So you think it's right, and then you just have to like relearn the proper things again once you.
Yeah, you get that confirmation
bias
where it's well, those people that are like, well, I did strong lifts 5x5 for 3 years and my lifts went up. Well, of course they went up. You're lifting, like you're challenging yourself. Would your lifts be higher if you did like literally anything else? Probably. And then they get banned.
I mean, yeah, especially if they're being cocky about it. But like, yeah, and it's what was that picture is not the Dunning-Kruger one, the other one with the zoomer thing where that bell curve where just do whatever it works, and they're like, no, you gotta like follow this program, this one, and eventually you get like everything works.
Yeah, that's my favorite graph ever.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's so true. I mean, it doesn't matter what field you're in, whether it's lifting or academics or anything. Everybody goes through that. They might not get to the end of it because you're not going to become an expert on everything, but for every subject, you're somewhere on that line. And it's definitely nice being on that upward slope at the end. It's really nice to like look back and to kind of laugh at myself at how I used to think and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's you can see where other people are at there too.
Yeah. It's just so hard to like convince people where they are on that line when they haven't actually been past that line yet. Especially since we've been there and we've seen, okay, yeah, this is pretty stupid. But then like convincing them, because it's so hard to explain in words where there's such a big difference between being at the beginner part where you think, haha, everything works, and then being at the end part where, yeah, everything works. Because like there's so much nuance in between, like everything works and then, yeah, everything works. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're way overqualified for teaching a high school team, but you're definitely going to be what they need to like set them straight on that proper path and learning and training.
Well, hopefully that can become the new standard.
One day, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm tired of seeing like high school football players just doing hang cleans for like zero reason at all. Like, why are you guys doing this? Especially with like improper form too. Most of them.
During my student teaching experience, we're always you're paired up with an actual registered teacher. One of the people that I wasn't paired up with, their name was Symington, and they were exclusively a strength coach, but not for the athletic teams. They actually had a class that you could take as your phys ed class that was lifting. I think he's affiliated with football as well, but I went and observed one of his classes because I didn't get to actually teach any of the lifting ones. And I was talking to him about like his training philosophies, and they were a little old, like rudimentary type stuff, old school.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really good basis. Like I asked them about hang cleans and football because that's such a big topic here, and he's on my side. He thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. He's like, you cannot teach a 15-year-old kid to be good at hang cleans. You have to spend several years teaching them how to get good at it, and then by the time they're good at it, you've wasted so much time that they can't effectively utilize it.
Exactly.
And he's like, the whole point is to be explosive. Well, there's a million much less technical moves that you could do. He said he just does weighted jumps, like trap bar jumps, on like a pad or something. Like that is 10 times more beneficial, and it takes about 10 seconds to teach it. So that's a positive note for the high school
future
curriculum.
Yeah. Wait, okay. Do you know why hang cleans just became a high school like staple for some reason?
I have no idea. It's definitely old. Several decades old.
Oh man,
but
what a nightmare!
I think it's just that notion of power. Everybody associates it with power.
But I mean, excluding that one kid, like I don't know if you came across that viral video a few years back, but there was like that one kid who actually did a full proper hang clean with 4 plates and like actually really good form. It went viral a few years ago. I think Zach Talander even made a video on it.
Seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sure I've seen it.
That was excluding that kid who was like insanely gifted to actually do a legitimate hang clean. Like even Zach said that the form was good. Like for a kid in high school, the form was very good and it was a 4 plate hang clean. So like, yeah, excluding cases like that, like the coach was pretty much spot on. Like it's so technical that expecting anyone to be able to utilize it in the span of high school is like, you're crazy.
And to think that even if you take that kid who is very proficient and can use enough weight to cause like actual adaptation, so you take that best case scenario. It's one exercise that slightly translates to sport. You're not coaching them to be good at hang cleans. You're coaching them to be good at an extremely dynamic sport with tons of like unilateral movements and unidirectional changes, which a hang clean is none of those things.
Yeah, it's so one dimensional, like very specific.
It's one vertical bilateral movement. So like to spend as much time as they spend doing it is just such a waste.
Not to mention like the risk of actually like destroying your couples and your meta couples if you ever get it wrong. Ugh.
Yeah.
Actually,
the risk to reward ratio is like as opposite as possible.
Yeah, and actually bring this back around. This is actually moments where I would actually recommend people to watch Athlete X, because when it comes to his philosophy in terms of this, he's spot on. Like an athlete is never one dimensional. An athlete is never one dimensional, and in his view, a beast is never one dimensional. What's the whole point of being a one dimensional beast? Especially if you're an athlete in conventional sports. Like powerlifting, weightlifting, strongman aside, if you're like an athlete in conventional sport, you want to be as multidirectional and as holistic as possible. Like, so that's where like stuff where the philosophies of his training make sense in his world, since most of the time he's like coaching athletes in this conventional sports, not like powerlifting, bodybuilding. That's why I always say like anyone like for athletes.
He's a pretty successful baseball coach.
Yeah, like really good successful baseball coach. That's why I say like if you're looking to Athlete X for like lifting advice, yeah, don't do that. But if you're looking to him for athletic advice, yeah, then he's a pretty good source. Like you do want to consider the risk to reward ratio and being very multidirectional. Even that's why a lot of his lifts, especially his isolation, is like so weird and like multidirectional. Yeah, for a powerlifter or bodybuilder or strongman, they're completely useless, like just pointless. But for an athlete, they can be pretty transferable.
Yeah, because like I'll keep using American football as an example. As a football player, lifting is your like tertiary goal. It's not your first goal is being good at that sport, like knowing what you're supposed to do, knowing the plays and the rules and stuff like that. Second rule still isn't lifting. It's probably going to be like conditioning, because you're playing that game for a very long time. It's sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop. And then your next goal is probably going to be strength. So to have a tertiary goal consume so much time doing like wasteful, I'll say the word wasteful exercises, like, not that benching is bad, but a lot of them bench press. And it's like there's just so many things that you could spend your time doing that are probably going to have more carryover. And that's coming from somebody who only does squat and deadlift.
Yeah.
like I understand that they don't have to just go in and do 5 sets of 5 squat bench deadlift. Like, there's just like, you can do sled pushes because you're in there pushing people. You can do single leg like lunge, like pistol squats. Probably be an amazing thing for like injury prevention
and the knee stability.
When somebody
everything.
comes down out of the air and lands on one leg, like that would probably be extremely helpful. But that's just not the stuff that
it's sexy, like tough. It's not tough looking.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Well, actually, think about it now. How familiar are you with like soccer or like football, like European football, soccer?
I never played or anything, but it's always been around.
Yeah. So I think like American football at least would do a lot better, maybe if they coach their athletes the way soccer does it, because in soccer lifting is like you said, like a tertiary thing. I don't like a lot of soccer athletes don't even lift. A lot of the time it's just really specific sports stuff and conditioning, sports conditioning. So like they don't waste a lot of time on lifting because they don't really need to lift that much. Who's going to be the better soccer player? The guy who's faster, doesn't get out of breath, or the guy who has a stronger kick? Yeah,
probably going to be the guy who's faster and doesn't get out of breath.
I mean, I think like even
there was a.
Huh?
There we go.
Oh, sorry.
You can go.
But even in American football, I know like benching 2 plates is like a big thing in football, or like benching 3 plates. But like realistically, if you can bench 2 plates or 120 for like a couple reps, it's probably all you need realistically. You're not gonna be. I know football players are like really big guys, but I don't think a ton of them are gonna be above 100 kilogram body weight. So if you can like push 100 kilograms bench for like a solid few reps, like 8-10, that's like pretty good enough. There's no strength.
Yeah, and a lot of it a lot of it's neutral grip, shoulder width, and like a half. Like, if anything, once you get to the base level of strength, like you said, like maybe 2 plates, 1 plate, at that point, doing something like a wall ball with like a heavy medicine ball or something like that will probably be better, because that's a much more specific movement. Yeah. The only people I'd probably have doing squat bench deadlift, it'd probably be like freshmen and maybe a couple sophomore.
Yeah.
Because once you get that like base level, there's just so many more specific things you could do.
Yeah, it's such a shame. I don't know how it ended up that way, but at least even then, at least it's better there than it is here, where they don't even go to the gym at all. I mean, speaking of like teenagers at the gym, my gym, for whatever reason, has suddenly started getting a flood of teenagers, and by flood I mean like 10, 15 teenagers. At a time where I usually go, it's just completely empty, and now suddenly it's like 15 teenagers training together. As like, as annoying and as frustrating as this, I'm glad that they're going to gym, even though it's very, very, very stupid stuff, whatever it is that they're doing. But also it means that my gym is getting business, which means more money for them. So yeah, but it's stressful, and I'm constantly having this mental debate on, should I teach them how to lift properly, or do I just watch in silent frustration as they do a bunch of things wrong, and then just, I mean, they work hard, but like a bunch of it is wrong.
Yeah, that's the constant dilemma. Is like, do you just let them figure it out? Because you know, if you were to try to tell them something, they would probably just like nod their head, roll their eyes, and then like keep doing it and figure it out later.
Probably. I mean, depending on who you are. Like, I think if you if like you and me, as someone like who lift decent weight and like has the look, at least they probably listen. But also like having to take out the time of your own session to like teach them some very basic stuff and nuances and have them figure out and then cue again. It's like, I don't want to waste my time. I just want to go train and then go home.
Yeah, there was this group at my gym, a couple high schoolers, and one of them exclusively benches in a full bridge. Not like an arch, like they're like with their butt up.
Oh.
Like they keep it up there and bench like that. Almost like they're doing like a decline, but on a flat bench. And I'm like, just either stop or just go do the decline bench. Like, we have a decline bench. Just go do that. Like, you look like an idiot. But he does like 20% more weight like that, so he just keeps doing it.
Is he actually lifting good weight though?
I mean, yeah, I think he's up over 2 plates. That group is pretty jacked for being in high school.
Oh yeah, sure. But unfortunately, that's the thing with like building muscle. It's just that confirmation bias that, yeah, I'm building muscle, I'm looking jacked, so I must be doing things right.
Yeah.
That's why I keep telling people in the server, like, building muscle is the most dead brain thing in fitness ever. It's so easy to build muscle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, taking yourself from like the average Joe to like that guy definitely goes to the gym is literally just going in and like sweating, you know, like putting in work and then making sure you eat enough. Obviously, going from like the next level up to like doing a show or something takes like genuine dedication and whatnot, but getting to that gym bro level is mindless.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty mindless. Like, it's amazing why people
pretty much just eating.
The thing that like the average Joe thinks that, like, oh man, they must have amazing work ethics. Like, no, bro, it's like the most brain dead thing ever. A monkey could do it. Like, and they even look like monkeys doing it as well, especially with how soft they are.
Talking about monkeys are jacked.
Yeah, insanely so. Like gorillas, amazing bench pressers, probably like deadlifters. But yeah, I'm actually really sorry that we have to cut it short here. I mean, it's already been 2 hours actually, but it felt a lot shorter.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably a good thing my laptop's almost dead.
Yeah, and I actually have to have dinner. It's 11 p.m. So, is there anyone else you want to shout out or anything, Hunter?
I will shout out my coach, Logan Sharp Strength on Instagram. Look him up, follow the hashtag. You'll even get to see my list on the hashtag. I know everybody wants to see that. No, I'm just looking forward to watching everybody make fun of my clips that I sent you.
Oh yeah, I mean, be sure to like send links to yourself and whatever socials that you want to link, and your coach's stuff or anything, and your lifts and your progress pics or whatever. You know, the usual that I do, like insert in these in post edits and everything. But don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to Picturefit, obviously, because all the socials are here. And don't forget to follow like me and Hunter. This is my YouTube channel. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but yeah, I gotta do the plugins. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the video. It helps a lot. Don't forget to press the bell button. And this is gonna sound sketchy, but I do actually have a Patreon and a Ko-fi now. Ko-fi. I don't know how you would pronounce it, but some of the people were asking like how to support me and stuff. So yeah, I made reluctantly a Patreon and a Ko-fi. Either one works. I prefer Ko-fi. Sorry about that. For money and whatever, it does actually help. I'm a broke student, so having some cash would actually help a lot. Thank you. Obviously, all of this is thanks to Hunter for finally we have the time. Thank you, COVID, for like this one opportunity to finally get Hunter on the episode. Thank you to Picturefit for the community. And
do you want to? I'm glad you had the idea because it didn't even occur to me.
The idea what?
Like I've just been sitting here for a few days.
Oh yeah. Because lucky I caught you in that chat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, it has been a pleasure.
What were the closing ones again? Oh, which one do you want? Get your protein or do you want the other one?
Get your protein.
I actually forget. What was the other one? Oh yeah, it depends. I forgot that. I'm sorry.
It does depend.
Yeah.
It does depend a lot.
Yeah, that's it. See you guys for the next episode. Bye bye.